you very
All the
much.
best.
So much.
So let's get excited, guys, for I think after this amazing panel session one on resume interviews, I'm sure a lot of your doubts are cleared. We've got this top leaders panel, and I think we couldn't get better speakers. We have CA Murtuza Kachwala sir, CA Neerav Vakharia sir, and CA Shabir Motorwala sir. The top in the industry who've been the CXOs, MDs, partners. The designation could be any, but they're leading their company since last 25 plus years, in fact more experience. I think so amazing. And we've got CA Chandan Jawar, who's going to lead and preside this amazing session. So right from your finance, audit, internal audit, statutory audit, taxation, all your doubts, how to go about these profiles, what to do, where to start as a freshly qualified, and how to build up your career. I think that's going to be the correct panel. And C. Arshit, thank you so much for moderating this amazing earlier session. Over to you, CA Chandan Jawar, who's also an associate at BNP Paribas in finance, and to take this session ahead. Thank you, Chandan bhai.
Thank you, Harshit. Yes, Harshit.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Chandan bhai. Over to you, Chandan bhai, for a brilliant next session. I think this session are lined up in those manner that for get your basics right, from audit to authority, the rise of financial leaders. I mean, very well and brilliantly lined up, which will definitely help all the participants and newly qualified. Over to you, Chandan bhai.
Perfectly. Thank you so much, CA Harshit. Thank you so much, CA Rudyesh sir, for giving me this opportunity. It feels great coming to this beautiful session and interacting with so many young, dynamic, energetic, enthusiastic, learned, and vibrant brains of this profession. It just feels like you have entered a shop full of perfume, wherein even if you don't buy anything, you'll end up having or carrying that fragrance with you. On that note, I would also try and I would also take this opportunity to thank Sir Udesh sir, Madho Group, and the entire organizing team to actually come up with such sessions, which is like helping the young professionals like us to step in into their professional work with all the informed decision. On that note, there was this saying in our MCS batch while I was doing my MCS batch that one chartered accountant. Listen to this equation very carefully, guys. One chartered accountant is equals to two MBAs from IIMs minus soft skills. One chartered accountant is equals to two MBAs from IIMs minus soft skills. Probably with the previous session where we have learned about the resume and various other interview tips and tricks. Now is the time to focus on some hardcore skills, because just having a vocab, just having to know how to speak will not serve you till the end, but it has to be a blend of both soft skills and hard skills, and that is the reason why we have kept soft skills as the previous session, and now moving on to the hard skills. And who could have been better than the esteemed panel right in front of us, CA Murtaja sir, CA Nirav sir, CA Sabir sir. I think that it would not be very justifiable of me to actually introduce them, because this faces knows no introduction. But still, I will try to give that justice. CM Murtaza sir goes without saying, the face of the then WIRC chairperson, and also the managing director of Protivity Mumbai, with 30 plus years of experience in finance. We really are thankful to have you on the dice, sir. Welcome to this amazing session, sir.
Thank you, Chandan. Thank you, Rudesh bhai. And looking forward to the session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Moving ahead, we have none other than CA Nirav Vakharia, sir, Director of Isner Amper, having experience of 26 years. Sir has, apart from his professional journey, also a regular contributor to Rotary Club of Mumbai, Kandivali to be very precise, and is also doing his social service and following the other social life. Welcome, sir. We are extremely very grateful to you and would love to hear you. Yes, sir. You are muted, sir. Just in case you are trying to speak.
Sorry, Chandan.
Yep, no, sir.
A very good afternoon to everyone, and thank you very much, Chandan, as well as Rudesh, for giving this opportunity. Really happy to be part of this esteemed panel. I have a lot of, I can say, seniors around me as well, if I can say, considering the number of years. And Murtuja sir, we have connected so many times, so happy to be able to be part of a panel where you are there. So I'm really, really glad that I got this opportunity.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, sir. Looking forward to hear a lot from you. Last, we have with us C.H. Shabbir Motorwala, sir, partner at BSR and Associate LLP. Sir is having an enriching experience of 24 years in the terms of corporate and finance and international taxation and regulatory services practice in Bombay. Apart from following his professional career, sir is a regular speaker at ICAI, BCAS, and other various esteemed stages. We are looking forward to hear a lot from you, sir. Welcome and thanks for joining us in this session, sir.
Thank you, Chandan, for that kind introduction. First of all, I would like to welcome all the young and the fresh chartered accountant to the professional fraternity. We cannot express how much delighted we are when the new batch of chartered accountants join us, and we join together to serve our clients and our country. So, first of all, I want to wish each one of you the very best. Congratulate you and your family, and may God bless us all. Thank you so much, and look forward to participating in this session and adding as much value that is possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. The way we are going to proceed this session is I'm going to ask question to each one of our esteemed speakers, and wherein we would be hearing from them. The questions are quite simple yet very complicated at this point of time when we are about to step in our the professional career, and let's try and take everything from them from their experience. Right? Can we just have quickly cameras open, guys, so that we can have this feeling. If we can please have the cameras open, है ना? कोई कैमरास ऑन कर दो यार, अच्छे से मजे आएंगे, बहुत बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा. देन जो एक वर्चुअल और फिजिकल इंटरेक्शन का जो एक हिंड्रेंस होता है वो भी टूट जाएगा. वेरी नाइस. थैंक यू सुनील, थैंक यू सो मच. Thank you everyone. Let's begin. um the way I say to it, and the way tell the young qualified chartered accountant is, the moment you clear your CA journey is the time when you have get an access to a gate. The gate gives you an access of a swimming pool, a big swimming pool of life of corporate, wherein there are various other segments: statutory audit, internal audit, FDD, finance, non-finance, various other various other domains. But the point is, until and unless you dive into the swimming pool, you'll not learn to swim. You cannot just stand outside the swimming pool and see people swimming, and boom, swimming. It is only when you are going to get inside it and you are going to get drawn too many times is the time when you are going to understand how to swim. Having said that, my first question with CA Murtaza sir would be, what common mistakes does a newly qualified CAs do in the early years of his corporate life? So please, throw some light into this question.
Okay, very complicated. Now I can give you a sweet answer, but which I'll not do. So I'll give you a frank and honest answer. Okay. So in one sentence, the biggest mistake which young people do these days is chase money. Okay. They go and see कि like इधर 9 लाख मिल रहा है, उधर 10 लाख मिल रहा है, तो 10 लाख के पैकेज के पीछे भागता हूँ. And earlier, I have just heard in the panel before, what is your interest? What do you want to do? Which environment you want to work in? Nothing matters at all. It is only package, the value, the money which you get, and you chase that.
Okay.
I would say, see, it is very important. As I understand, okay, and there are three destinations in the journey. One, I can go on in an organization and become either the CFO. Generally, we target CFO, but now I am seeing off late many CFOs are going on to become CEOs. So I would say a chartered accountant should target to go and become CEO of a Aditya Birla or a Reliance or Adani or X or Y, whatever, Axis Bank and SBI. So that is one. The second is go and become partner in a large firm, consulting. Now, either you practice on your own, but again, a sole proprietor, how much will you do and what will you do? So, which means if you want to start on your own, also you have to bring 5-10 people together and start building a larger firm, or go and join a big four, big 10, big 20, or go and join in like Shabir Bhai is with KPMG, he's become a partner. So ultimately that will be the goal, lead a practice there, or otherwise like Nero, he is doing offshoring and maybe go and become a partner in that type of an organization. So that is second. And the third today is like every young mind should see, okay, like, can I start something on my own, an entrepreneur journey? Can I go and take my company to listing either on a MSME or a main board? So I think that entrepreneur journey also is becoming important. So these are these three things. Okay. Now with that focus, I think we should start. Okay, like either I start in statutory audit in a big firm, and then after 2 years, I think I want to go into finance and I go into finance, or I want to go and become a partner in audit, or I start in direct tax and go and become a partner there. So that way we should start, pursue a direction. First 2 years you may not know, but in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, you will have to decide your destination and accordingly start working in that direction. And money will come. That is what I think. Let me stop here, Chandan. Over to you again.
Thank you so much, sir. So the bottom line would be money will flow, but the important part is to not run behind that 11 lakh job, but instead शायद वो 9 लाख की जॉब भी बहुत ही ज्यादा impactful हो सकती है on the long run. Thank you so much, sir, for this amazing explanation. Moving on,
So
since we
maybe
have,
if
yep,
you
yes,
allow
sir,
me 1 minute, so
please,
like
sir,
say,
please,
assuming I wanted to make my career in internal audit,
yes, sir,
and during my articleship, I have not done internal audit. I have done only
yes,
TDA, GST, tally.
yes,
What will I do? Even if I get less paid, I may not get into a big firm, right? Because I don't have experience. So I'll start in a smaller firm, a mid-sized firm, a second tier firm, a third tier firm. They will pay me less money, but they will allow me to learn hands-on. कितना साल? एक साल, 2 साल? 2 साल में I'll become an expert. Then I'll go to a larger firm. I'll get 30%, 40% increase, and then to something else, and then to something else. And maybe in 4 years, I'll be equal with a person who joined with experience. So that is what I was trying to say. Over to you.
Perfect, sir. I think जो आपने internal audit पे बहुत बोला, I think the same applies for investment banking as well. A lot of newly qualified CAs want to go out into investment banking, private equity, equity research, and they tell us that I don't have relevant experience. To which we tell that maybe start with a small boutique firm, compromise with your salary initial maybe 7 8 lakhs, never mind, and then the moment you are going to learn and going to get a switch, no, is the time when you'll be at the same par of the same professionals who have entered into this. But
Exactly.
I think very well put it by Murtaza sir.
A
Next
short
question would be,
campaign. I'll
yes,
just
short
add one
campaign,
thing. It's a
perfectly.
short term pain. It's just a
Short
short term
campaign,
pain as
yep,
such. And eventually what happens is in the long run, everything just gets evened out. So go behind your passion, whatever you want to do it, because even if you are getting an 11 lakhs and against 7 lakhs where you would like to do, but if you will not like to do that particular service line over a period of time, you will not be invested into it and you will not grow in that. So that's the bottom line difference there.
perfect, sir.
And Chandan,
Perfect.
if I can
Please, sir,
just add,
please.
see, I think the question that a young professional has to answer is, does he want to have a job that he loves, or does he want to love the job that he has?
Yes.
And
Oh,
the mistake that professional do is that they keep comparing themselves with a lot of others. Oh, he's working in internal audit, he's already become senior manager, he's already become manager. Look, my promotion has not happened. I think, see, every profession and every field is very different. And keep trust in whatever you're doing. If you love the job, trust it. You will have success. You cannot become Amitabh Bachchan in day one. Amitabh Bachchan
correct,
took 10 years to become Amitabh Bachchan. So
correct,
you will have your time, you will have your day. Just keep patience. There'll always be two people ahead of you, there'll always be two people behind you. You have to never lose sight of your track and your journey. If you like the job that you love, I think success is only a matter of time. Stay committed is what my advice to the young professional is.
perfect. Stay committed, even if you don't start maybe at a very good package, just because of the previous experience that you might have had in your articleship for whatever reason it is. Maybe, but if you know where you want to go, probably just compromise a little bit at starting 1 2 years. Learn. जितना आर्टिकलशिप पे अपन नहीं कर पाए उतनी मेहनत अभी कर लो एंड देन मे बी टेक अ गुड स्विच. Excellent answer by our panel. My next question would be someone who is in the consulting area of a big MNC, that is Nirav sir. So, what new age skills beyond accounting? What new age skills beyond accounting should chartered accountants aspire if they want to work in a global consulting firm or MNC, sir?
So I think it's a very pertinent question nowadays. The overall profession is heading into, it's not a time for our traditional way how we used to do it 10 years back, 15 years back, not even 20 years, the time when we started. I think that is altogether a past history. But right now, even if we see in the last 5, 10 years, the way the profession has changed substantially, I think it's it's altogether a different ball game now. So I think with the new age thing, there are few things which we need to take care. I have just made few notes so that way then I don't miss out. So it becomes easier for the newer generation to understand. Just give me a second. I'll just,
Take your time, sir.
yeah. So as we know, the way at the pace at which we are growing, I think few of the most important things which the new generation people should look into is basically it's more of a digital and analytical skills, because I think that is something becoming more and more uh, pertinent now. The way the what you can say, the audits used to be done in the older way, it's no more done in that particular way. We need to be digitally savvy as such. We also need to be very strategic and basically understand the business. So while earlier when we used to do the audit, we used to purely focus on numbers. I think gone are the days where anyone is just looking at numbers, because with a lot of AI tools, management is able to get all those numbers on a fingertips at any point of time. So I think most important aspect is making the people understand what's behind the numbers. So I think that is equally important. One thing which the previous, I think I was just what you can say joined in the last few minutes of the previous session. I think one thing which was also mentioned was about the soft skills, and also you yourself mentioned that one chartered accountants equal to two MBAs minus the soft skills. So I think soft skills is the key word as of now. At any point of time, if you want to really make any impact in any job what you do, I think having those required soft skills is something which is like going to be very key. And the business leaders right now needs to be having a top-notch skills to move up the ladder, especially since you are talking about the industry. So I'm talking from that perspective. We need to be also very much, while whatever we are doing on a daily basis, keep on innovating the way the things have been done until now. As such, always try to look at how you can do those things in a different way as compared to the way it has been done until now. Because bringing in innovation in whatever you do, I think it adds two aspects. One is basically you bring about efficiency in the process, what you are already doing it. And the other part is you will also enjoy the work, what you are doing it. Because if you continue to do the same monotonous things, I think 6 months down the line, a year down the line, you will start feeling that, hey, I got something which is not making sense for me. Instead of that, if you want to really enjoy, try to innovate, come up with new ideas, and I think that would really be very helpful. So I think those were the few of the points which I thought it would be very pertinent for any new chartered accountants to look into.
Perfect. Perfect. I think that is what I also advise to a newly qualified CS, that when you are asked this question, whether what are your weaknesses is during an interview, which is a very common question. So I always say them that, probably say that, you take a little longer to actually finish a task, wherein you also keep that thing back in your mind, that how I can automate it the next time I do. So very well explained by sir. I think that not just highlights your weakness, but equally it's your strength that you are looking forward to automate certain things. So very well explained by sir. Thank you so much. Moving on to the next speaker, Shabir sir. Sir had been having an enriching experience of international and corporate tax. So with this new direct tax regime coming all over, what are the way forward for a professional in direct taxation? And I would also love if you can touch one of my favorite part, which is the litigation part of it. Over to you, sir.
So I think first, Chandan, see, even with the new direct tax code coming in, the government has clarified and the law is very clear. There are no substantive changes in the law. So
Okay.
the way I see it is that, look, it's not a 360-degree change, not that all the provisions have changed. Largely, the substantial part of the law has remained the same. Okay, there are some liberalizations, there are some changes. So the basic tenets of succeeding in tax law continues to remain the same. You need to read the law, you need to understand the rules, you need to see the circular, you need to understand the case laws to give an advice to your client. Because the biggest part of your tax practice is a client comes to you because he doesn't understand when he undertakes a transaction what has to be done. So according to me, whether it is the Income Tax Act 1961 or the new income tax bill that is going to come in, nothing is going to change. Your fundamentals, the way of reading the law, the way of understanding the law, and the way of advising the client is going to remain the same. I personally don't see any change. But at the same time, it gives the young chartered accountant a lot more opportunity, because let's say someone like us who has read the 1961 Act, we may overnight not become that familiar. We may not have that time to read the law and familiarize ourselves. So I see a lot of opportunity where our team members now will be able to read the law and understand it much better than perhaps senior people. So I would personally believe that there is nothing that changes. The law and the practice continues to have a linkage to each other. What do we have to help our clients with? We have to help our client with advisory. Whenever they are undertaking a transaction, we have to help them what is going to be the consequences of that transaction. Second, we help them with compliance. We help them file returns and pay the taxes. And third, we help them with assessment. So whenever you've given an advice, whenever that advice has gone in the return, and when it is picked up for assessment, you have to defend it. Because if you're not able to defend an advice, that's not going to help your career. And let's say the department does not accept that advice, given what the position that you have taken, you have to then litigate in with, because there is no other choice. You will not be able to convince them in a friendly way, and that's not the right way to do things. So I think the whole ecosystem of tax practice continues to remain the same. It starts with an advisory, follows up with a compliance, then you defend whatever position that you've adopted. And if there is a difference in view, you take it and litigate it. Now, the litigation could be before a commissioner of income tax, it could be before a tribunal, it could be before a high court, or it could be before a Supreme Court. Now, again, one thing that the professional needs to understand is the whole ethos of how the judicial authorities approach litigation has changed. Like 40 years back, 30 years back, department used to hardly win in the courts. Today, the ratio is reverse. The number of cases department is winning is much more than the number of cases of the taxpayers. And to that extent, the taxpayer themselves have to blame, because sometimes we find that the facts are not that strong, or the interpretation is not that strong, or the rubber band has been stretched too much. So I think the way we see it as the fundamental of things have changed. Whatever you do is going to be subject to public scrutiny or regulatory scrutiny. So you have to be prepared for the same. So therefore, I think it's like if you're an honest, you will never cheat even when no one is looking. So in the same way, we have to prepare ourselves in such a manner that whatever we do, it will be subject to regulatory scrutiny, and we have to be prepared to defend it. If you're not prepared to defend it, or if you can't, please don't adopt that position.
Perfect. Very well explained by sir. I think the way things are changing, it does require a good knowledge of the facts, and with the new code coming in, you have to be very well versed with everything. Well explained, sir. Thank you so much. Moving on to the pioneer of internal audit, Murtaza sir, having an experience of 30+ years of at Protivity. Sir, my question to you would be: if a young chartered accountant wants to start his career on internal audit rather, um, how does internal audit differs in BFSI, in manufacturing and other service industries? If you can maybe throw some light into that, sir.
See, overall, whether it is internal audit or whether it is external audit or whether it is a direct or indirect tax also, I feel that industry knowledge becomes very, very important.
Hmm.
And you asked BFSI and manufacturing. Let me give you some other example. Assuming I were to do an audit of a restaurant.
Okay.
In a restaurant, what will become important? And it is a chain of restaurant. Then in which city, what location, which particular item runs little more, and whether like what type of juices are getting consumed, and hence you decide like which vegetable you will buy and which fruit you will buy on that day. Otherwise, it will become stale. Okay. Otherwise, it will be a loss. And again, in making a particular item, what is the bill of material? How does what ingredients go inside? What is the costing? And hence, what should be the revenue? Is there a way in which your waiter serves them but does not create an invoice and takes some money on the side? Is it a revenue loss? Okay. The
Oh.
moment you move this to a hotel, Indian hotel. And then like you look at the room rent, it is not the same. And if you look at the OYO room rent, it is possibly not with the same. But you forget this restaurant and now you go to and look at a revenue model for an hospital. What is the revenue model? Again, there could be outpatient who just come and does a scan and a X-ray and a this thing and go, or they come meet the doctor and go.
Mm,
Was
mm,
it charged properly? And there can be an inpatient who gets admitted, and then like all the visits, all the doctor, all the medicine, all the surgery, everything was billed properly. Completely different. But
okay.
a hospital also runs a medical store. A hospital also runs a canteen. So canteen revenue becomes again, so within the hospital there is a restaurant business. Okay. So I think
Mm,
every business is important. And
that,
you're talking about bank. A bank is completely different. Insurance is completely different. And today people say whether you worked in life insurance or non-life insurance, they go to that extent. Okay. So understanding their business. And
mm,
one client, see, like say in a pharma company, once I go and do the procurement or a third party manufacturing, and I learn the process and I know what goes wrong, in the next pharma company, I'll be able to go and see whether that pain point is there and immediately add value. I'll be a lot more efficient. And as I do 4 or 5 pharma company in the same process audit, I'll become a lot more, uh,
mm,
what do you say, smart.
mm,
Again, I'll be able to bring best processes from one organization to another. And no, I will not tell them कि which company, but at least I'll say that there is a better way of doing thing. I'll also know whether in a particular organization it has been automated using some tool or technology, and I'll be able to touch upon that as well. And ultimately, when you say internal audit, what are you doing? You are trying to ensure that company's revenue gets increased or maximized. If there are any revenue leakages, that gets stopped.
mm,
On the
mm,
cost side, you are trying to see whether the cost can be minimized.
mm,
Okay. In the ways of working, you are trying to see whether it can be done in a more efficient manner.
mm,
And I think Nero so rightly touched upon the whole efficiency. Now, again, uh, if in an organization someone is doing bank reconciliation manually, looking at a bank statement and bank book,
mm,
I will recommend it to him. Why don't you use an RPA tool or something like that, where like the bank book and the bank statement, the bank reco can be automated directly. Okay. Now, 800 line item bank reco, a person in an organization may need 1.5 days to do it. The bot will do it in maybe less than a minute.
mm,
And then the person will be able to apply a lot more time on what are the items in the reconciliation and how they are required to be resolved. And still, that will be only 5 minutes. So it will be done at a scale. So I think all of those knowledge and bringing that value add into the while you are doing your particular process becomes very, very important. And in addition to that, in any large organization, see, there are multiple factories, multiple depots, multiple businesses. They will have some form of method in madness. There will be some SOPs,
mm,
standard operating procedures. There will be some policies and some procedures. So the organization also wants to get a comfort whether everyone in the organization is adapting to those policies, procedures or not. So that also is one part which we cover during the course of audit. And the last and the most important thing again is the compliances. Every business has got so many compliances. Something goes wrong. The board is responsible. The CEO is responsible. The CFO is responsible. It is not only penalties these days, they can be put behind bars. So many acts have now got imprisonment. So while I'm doing a compliance audit, I'll also look at that. But before I end, Chandan, see the ICI also. Now, if you look at the CA Institute standard on internal audit,
mm.
the standard very clearly says that do you have understanding of the industry? That is very important.
Okay.
And while I'm doing a procure to pay process,
Mm,
doing the process, I'll have to look at all the compliances, which means on a service bill, whether TDS has been deducted under the right section of the right rate, 194C, 2% or 1%, 194J. On a GST, whether input credit has been properly taken, that you will see in procurement. But when I'm looking at HR process end to end, then I'll look at payment of gratuity act, bonus act, PF, ASIC, profession tax, etc.
okay. Okay.
So multiple of these regulations will also have to be, we'll have to have knowledge and we'll have to look through while we are doing that process audit. So let
Okay.
me summarize in a way, while you are an internal auditor, You try to see whether the company's policy procedures are complied or not.
Hmm.
Try to see whether the company is complying with all the compliances that are applicable.
Hmm.
You try to find out ways of ensuring that revenue leakages are stopped and revenue is enhanced. You
Hmm.
try to bring about ways of optimizing the cost, and you try to bring about efficiency in which an organization can function. So all of these. And these days, in large organizations, the management even give a KPI to the internal function. Like how much have you added value?
Correct.
Value
Correct.
addition is very, very important. It is not only going about looking at vouchers and putting green ticks. So it is evolving.
Um,
It is becoming a lot more and lot more regulatory requirement. In the Companies Act, there is a requirement on internal control over financial reporting, and the statutory auditor has to look at. Similarly, now there is a requirement of risk management on larger companies. So enterprise risk management has to be implemented. And
Correct.
when there is a US organization, they have a subsidiary in India, then the whole Sarbanes-Oxley Act comes into play, where there is a CEO, CFO certification under Section 302 and 404. So there is a lot of regulatory focus also, because a lot of those frauds, etc., have happened, and hence regulations are also becoming a lot more stricter.
Correct. Perfect, sir. So very well explained. I think we have to increase the revenue and reduce the cost, or probably if I have to put the entire service explanation in one word, provide value to your client by understanding the core business. Unless we are doing that, I think it is not served completely up to. Very well explained by Murtaza sir. एंड सर आपने बातों ही बातों में ना मेरा जो अगला क्वेश्चन होने वाला था उसका आंसर दे दिया. आई वाज अबाउट टू टच एआई, AI and the roles of chartered accountants into it. But then you very well explained by that example of bank reconciliation. कि यार वो जो आधा दिन लगता है बैंक reconcile करने में, that AI will do within maybe less than 1 minute, and post which we can do our analysis कि which entries are missing and which entries are not credited. So which brings me to a conclusion that AI altogether cannot eliminate jobs, especially of a chartered accountant. My next question would be to Nirav sir. So since you are working with an MNC and that is quite dynamic as compared to any other corporates, how do you look up to this AI tool? And apart from ChatGPT, what other tools does a professional must know to actually have a very longevity in his career, sir? Over to you.
Yeah. So I think along with AI, there are a lot many other. I'll just touch upon few of them in terms of like what we need to do right away is the Tableau. I think the few other things on the Excel side. I think those are the most prevalent one as such. Right now, with AI, we have been working around to see what are the various aspects which we can touch upon so that then it can be done. But uh, I think on the AI front, it is very vast to define anything there. So I will not be able to add much there, to be very frank.
Okay, okay, perfect. Thank you so much, sir. As I mentioned, Tableau, I think some other prominent AI tools are there that would probably give you an edge in your CV. I think Tableau is the one, and other such AI tools. Moving ahead, sir.
So
One very
Chandan,
yep, yep, sir.
maybe I'll take a less than a minute to supplement and to add to what Nirav said.
Okay, please, sir.
See, like, I think analytics also becomes very, very important in every organization. And it can be as basic as a Power BI, Power Query.
Hmm.
I would request that everyone who like wants should learn SQL, Python.
SQL
SQL,
Python.
you can write queries. It can give you a lot of beautiful results. And like Nero said, once the analytics is done, then the presentation can happen using Tableau. So
Hmm.
Tableau also becomes very, very important these days. And whether you are in FP&A, whether you are in finance, whether you are in taxation or audit, the analytics and the presentation will be required at both the places. In addition to that, there will be process mining tools, then there will be RPA for automation, but now the whole agentic, and in agentic also, see,
Hmm.
there are like the technology assist tools. Now,
Hmm.
these assist tools, once you give them a JD,
Hmm.
they will screen through the profiles and they will tell you whether those profiles are matching this JD or not, and whether they should be interviewed or not. So
Nice.
writing your profile will become so much easy, like now important that you bring about a right type of aspect because it is going to look at the words. Then once the CVs are identified, that tool technology can even ask you questions, post you
Hmm.
questions, and you will write. How many people in your family? What is your father doing? What is your mother? Standard questions will come and you'll write.
Correct.
Then it can even conduct a written test for you,
Okay.
and
Okay.
it will give everything, so that when the interviewer who was spending 1 hour now will have to spend maybe only 15 minutes knowing your some other aspects of it which the tool did not do it, or the bot did not do it. Okay. So there
Perfect.
are innumerous tools and technology which is available now and people are adopting, and I think as a professional we'll have to learn so that we make in within that corporate environment or in a firm we make the processes more efficient. Sorry.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir, for probably throwing more light into various other things that we were not updated to. Um, now, my next question would be to all three of you. Then I'll be moving to Shabbir sir for a particular question, which was something which is even running in my mind after 2 years of qualification, which is what after CA. And when I say what after CA, it doesn't mean the professional life. It means padhai wise, कोर्सेज वाइज कि यार सीए तो बन गया तो मतलब मेरे दाल चावल तो आ रही है रोटी सब्जी आ रही है बट आई हैव टू गेट पनीर ओवर एट ऑन अ डेली बेसिस मुझे क्या ऐसे कोर्सेज करने चाहिए जो शायद मुझे जब मैं स्विच करूंगा स्विचिंग द इंटरव्यूअर और द रिक्रूटर पीपल लाइक यू ऑल विल बी लुकिंग अप टू keenly upon it. Maybe I'll take quick feedback from Neerav sir and then moving on to the other panelists. Sir, please.
Yeah, so I think a few of the new areas which right now is becoming very prevalent and which is like really, really helpful for your own personal growth in the professional careers as such. One of them is basically risk advisory and internal audit. So that's a very, very, very big area.
Mm.
Earlier, I think it a lot of emphasis was not paid to it. It was there, but then I think that was little bit on a neglected side. But I think now the way all the automation and everything is in process, internal audit is something which has become where you can basically transact or vouch each and every transaction. Instead of earlier you used to just pick a few of the transactions and do a test check with that. Now internal audit has become more focused and it would be more meaningful in terms of basically what the data is, and the data will be more storytelling, and that is wherein I think internal audit and risk is something which is an upcoming one. Over and above that, we also can look at new avenues in terms of M&As, valuation and transaction advisory. I think courses around that, I think that would be really, really helpful, because that is altogether what you can say, with a lot of MNC companies in last 5 to 10 years coming into India with the M&A market, the transaction advisory. That is something which is becoming what you can say, very, very hot as of now. So I think those are the few areas wherein you can go and do your CPA, CFA, CIA. So those are the few additional courses. If you go in, that would really add value for you in the long term.
Perfect. I think CPA, CI, and everything. If I'm not wrong, CI is Chief Investigating Officer or something, agency or something, right?
Yeah.
That is related to this forensics, if I'm
Yes.
not wrong. Perfect, perfect. So please, candidate, jot it down. शायद मेरे हिसाब से if you are landing up in the finance, CPA, sorry, CFA is the best course, and as correctly mentioned by sir for forensics, I think CIA is something which is very much adding value to your CV. Shabbi sir, anything you want to add on this?
So
On the new
Chandan,
courses? Yes, sir.
Chandan,
Please.
before we go to Shabir Bhai,
Yep,
so
yep.
CIA is certified internal auditor,
Internal audit.
Okay, I'm so
and
sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay.
ICI is also doing it, but Institute of Internal Auditors Inc. USA, in case you want to make career in internal audit, then CIA is good. And you touched
Okay.
upon fraud. So in case you want to become a fraud forensic professional, then it will be
FRM.
certified fraud examiner, CFE. And
CFP.
again,
Okay. Okay.
there is a US CFE organization who provides you this course.
Okay.
Then, of course, if you want to be a chief risk officer, then you can do a CRO, chief risk officer type of a
Right.
thing. And if you want
Perfect.
to be in IT audit, then it can be
FRM.
either from India, अपना institute का DISA, Diploma in Information Systems Audit. Otherwise, from Institute of ISACA at USA, you can do a Certified Information Systems Auditor, CISA.
Okay.
And if
Okay.
you want to become an ethical hacker, etc., and lot more on the IT security side, then CISSP, CISM, etc., are the again from ISACA, the courses which are being offered. Okay.
भाई लिख के रखो यार newly qualified even I am jotting it down after 2 years of qualification इतने insightful चीजें पता चल रही है thank you so much Murtaza
Sorry,
sir
sorry. Yes,
thank you so much
Shabir bhai, sorry.
Yes, sir. Shabir, sir, if
No,
you
no,
want
no
to add
worries.
anything.
Murtuza, that was welcome and it was very relevant as well. So thank you. So I think from a tax perspective, I've seen a lot of chartered accountant after sort of getting a good grip over domestic tax would like to diversify into international taxation and start advising on cross-border transaction to overseas entities in terms of setting up in India or Indian entities wanting to set up overseas. So a lot of tax knowledge of how international taxation work, how does tax treaties work, how does unilateral agreement between countries work. And a lot of people I've seen have gone ahead and done international courses with either IBFD or even Chartered Institute of Taxation in the UK. There are various universities offering various courses which are online. They are physical courses. So they are very much in demand. And then what you could do is use these degrees to expand your knowledge and also, expand your presence. So let's say if you're in a practice and you want to set up an office in Europe, Dubai, some of these courses are indeed very helpful and recognized. Whereas a CA, it's by itself may not be recognized as an acknowledged tax professional, even though you may have an Indian domain tax knowledge. But some of these international degrees help in your career growth, especially if you want to practice outside India and especially advise big, large multinational clients. Secondly, if your interest is in litigation, let's say you have a eye for litigation, then obviously you can do a basic LLB here in India, and you can add to your skills because I think the boundary lines of each law interjecting into each other has sort of disappeared. You don't know when you are into the reams of the other law or when the other reams of the law are into income tax, and a lot of interpretation is now broad based and principle based. So whether there is a decision of GST or excise or let's say sales tax in the past, it is some of the principles are equally relevant for income tax and vice versa. So I think I've seen a lot of people doing law as well. I have done law myself to enhance my skill and be a little bit more competitive with my global peers because globally tax is more practiced by lawyers, and if you are a lawyer they sort of respect you much better than they feel that they're talking to a peer. They in the overseas territory, chartered accountants largely are audit professional, and in very few countries chartered accountants like India also practice tax. Lastly, I have also seen a lot of people do MBA and a lot of people also diversified into digital or tech enablement kind of. So they acquire different skill sets to run. And because a lot of tax automation is now happening across the globe, including in India, we'll see technology playing a very, very wide role. So I think if you become familiar with technology, data science, I think that is equally important. So I've seen a lot of people trying to learn different languages to try and bring around tax automation in whatever practice or their focus area. So I think these are some of the things that I've seen, and these are equally relevant to this group as well.
So, so before Chandan goes to the next question, Shabir sir, since you have been, into taxation, so if we talk about M&A, we have something people go and practice in M&A finance and M&A tax as well. So somebody who wants to get into M&A tax and not necessarily finance, how should his journey could start with? Is it okay if he starts with direct tax, maybe personal tax, and then go to corporate tax or anything? Because in the start, if he's done from a mid-sized firm and he's done basics of taxation, small mid-sized firm, how should his journey go for if he wants to aspire to be in M&A tax or a corporate taxation?
Right. So see, I'll tell you, I mean, unless you're good in basic income tax, you cannot become good in any other area of tax, be it M&A tax. What is M&A tax? Helping people with deals
True.
to buy business or sell
Hmm.
business or to buy, sell or sell shares or
Correct.
restructure. So unless you are clear on your basic domestic provision, to my mind, you cannot become a good M&A tax professional. So I think the fundamental requirement of an M&A tax professional that he should have a good sound knowledge of direct tax. That's a must. Thereafter, he can focus on, let's say, a BFSI or an M&A tax or, let's say, a transfer pricing. But the fundamental remains the same. I can't see an M&A professional who doesn't have a working knowledge of corporate tax or direct tax. That's not possible. So it's like you have to go to the basic. Your direct tax or corporate tax is the mother practice. Once you're good at that or you have a reasonable understanding, then you sort of diversify. Of course, in today's modern world, I've seen people being selected directly for M&A tax. But then basically you then need to be very familiar with how deals work because deals works very differently as compared to normal business transaction. Let's say if you want to buy something or sell something, things will look very different. You want to bargain, you want to see what things add value, what stage are you buying, when do you want to sell, what stage you want to sell, what are some of the other repercussions. So I think a deal or an M&A professional needs to understand a little bit of the wider canvas of the deals apart from pure direct tax. Let's say if you're a listed company, you may have SEBI guidelines being applicable to you. You may have
Mm-hmm.
CCI guidelines being
Mm.
applicable to you. You can't take a decision standalone based on corporate tax law or income tax law. Any
Correct.
decision that you take has to factor into it. And plus, deals take a lot of time. You can't do many deals. If you're on a deal, typically an M&A professional just does one or two deals in a period of 3 to 6 months. He takes then a
Mm.
break and then he goes to the another deal. So it's a
Perfect.
very deal-based kind of a work and requires a very different skill set. So I would still believe that all the elements to become a good tax professional are continued to be required if you want to become an M&A tax professional. But at the same time, you have to then focus upon the provisions of the act which deal with mergers, demergers,
Mm.
sales, acquisition,
Mm.
restructuring, and all the other elementary law, which is SEBI law, foreign exchange law, company law, CCI law, regulators like insurance, RBI, some of the fundamentals that acquire what are the do's and don'ts of such deals. So unless you understand all of that, you may not by itself become a good M&A tax advisor.
Excellent answer, sir. I mean, I was just jotting down all the points, and I was like, okay, I didn't know this. So it was only you putting on the light into it. And while you were explaining, ki basic direct tax ki knowledge is very important for being a M&A taxation. I could see a big smile on Murtaza sir's face. To which I got into a conclusion कि शायद चाहे वो internal audit हो चाहे consulting हो चाहे direct tax हो, you have to always stick to your basics. Unless your basics are not clear, unless you don't know what is an journal entry to a particular transaction, I think none of the profile can really work for you. So we are.
And Chandan, I'll give you one more example. Let's say you
Please
do a
sir,
deal
please.
and you take a tax position. Who's going to defend that tax position before the tax authorities? The
Me, of
compliance.
course. Yep.
So he's also into M&A tax. Even a person who files a return after a merger and acquisition, he is also advising on mergers and acquisitions. So unless you understand the whole system, you will
Hmm.
not be able to do justice to the client's requirement.
Which
So
also bring me.
everyone has to
Yes.
understand M&A. The person who does the deal, the
Hmm.
person who files the return, and the person who's going to litigate for it. If that position is not accepted, everyone needs to understand M&A tax, and they each one plays a very different role.
Which
So,
also brings me
Chandan,
to a conclusion. Yes, Murtaza sir, please, please.
see, listening to Shabir Bhai, what I feel is कि like when you are a tax professional, you will have four buckets. One, the basic one is compliance
Hmm.
to filing TDS, to GST, to this, to that, all of those, and filing the returns, etc. Second will be the litigation. The compliance will be possibly the lowest paid, but you do not have a, you will have to do that. Okay.
Hmm.
Then the
Hmm.
litigation. Whenever
Hmm.
something is stuck, you will get the right amount of fees depending on what is the stake involved, what is the penalty, what
Correct.
is the interest, and what is the amount of litigation. But the
Correct.
most important then becomes the restructuring or structuring of deals. Whether you are buying something, whether it is a loss-making company, whether it is a profit-making company, what will come inside, what price, will the losses get offset against the profit in your company, how much will you save, all of those. And cutting across all three, compliance, litigation, and structuring, I think technology plays an important role.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah,
Very
very
well
beautifully
explained.
said by Shabir Bhai. Chandan, to your question, original question, before we close, I'll take maybe 30 more seconds.
Please, sir.
So, like, see, if someone wants to go and practice or join a firm in UK,
Hmm.
then I think the ICI in India has a MOU, MRA with multiple countries, and you can do from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, you become a CA by appearing one paper.
Oh, okay.
It will
Okay.
become important if you want to go to UK and settle there. If you want to practice in a firm,
Hmm.
or if you want to even go and do a job in a large organization in finance function.
Okay.
Similarly, with Institute of Chartered Accountants of Australia and New Zealand.
Hmm.
So there are MOUs and MRS which ICA signed with multiple countries. See, like in USA, without CPA, Nirav said, you cannot practice.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Now, these qualifications, whether they will be important when those countries outsource work to India, and if you're doing work, will the qualification play an important role? or while getting job in an organization like Esner Empire, and if you're working on a UK client,
Hmm.
are you required to do a CA from UK? I don't know, that question Nirav can answer. But at least when you go outside, the qualification is required, and that also can be taken into consideration. Okay, other than that.
No, no, I
Perfect.
think excellent supplementary answer by Murtuza bhai. See, I think what you have to understand is what is the practice that you want to get into, and depending on that, you have to enter. You have to choose the right line. Let's say, for example, I've seen this. When you go and let's say do one paper. Let's say you go and appear for the number of papers that is required to become a CPA under the UK law. Then what is it that you would like to practice in the UK law? Because let's say if you want to practice tax, a UK
Hmm.
CPA may have some restrictions in practicing tax, whereas a UK tax lawyer may have a better advantage. You have to keep those distinguishing factors in mind. So definitely, while it is very nice to supplement, but I think in if you're looking at a pure career in tax, there are a lot more things that one will have to do to make sure that you are able to contribute better to your clients in terms of the some of the things that maybe learn from those courses than pure a CPA may offer to you.
Yeah, it's
Perfect.
purely depending on which side of the globe you want to practice. Okay, that also has a major impact in terms of what additional certification or degrees you would like to take. So, as Murtuza has said, right now, if for our company, if we are looking, we hire a lot of chartered accountants. So, majority of people for us, they are chartered accountants, but we do not insist for a CPA or anything for them, because what we think is that chartered accountant has that aptitude, and it's and we have our inbuilt robust trainings in place which will ensure that they are able to do what they are required to do from an US perspective without even taking a CPA degree. A CPA can be just as an additional qualification, but yeah, if you want to be in a CA, you want to be not CA, if you want to be in US, you want to practice there, then that CPA becomes even more important. Same way, when we look for tax, there are courses known as enroll agents. So that is something which is a very bare minimum on at least our firm side for anyone to become a manager, because that is something which we look into as their core tax competency. So most important question is, you want to basically practice in India or work in India, or you want to go abroad. Depending on that, the extra certifications can be basically looked into a little bit more closely as such.
Yes. Correct.
Perfect. I think very well explained by each of our mentors for the session today. I think thank you so much for actually highlighting it. Before plunging into the last question, as we are running out of time, I mean, we can go on for hours and hours listening you people out of your experience. But then, since we have a time constraint, I think before plunging into the last question, one question to see Rudya sir. Now this is a surprise for him. I know I can clearly see his facial expression. And this is something which I didn't plan, but I think this is something which we all should know. How to improve your soft skills. If you can quickly touch upon these points, because we know इन बच्चों के पास FR, AFM, audit, direct tax, indirect tax की theoretical knowledge है. All where they are lagging is to create an impact during an interview. I think when you are interviewing hundreds of CVs in a day, how to create that impact. And if you want to get into some special field like corporate trainer, etc., and other stuffs, what are the courses that you think should be the one?
Sure. Thank you, Chandan bhai. So I think the only way to improve soft skills is, you know, practice those things. Because typically people don't practice speaking, maybe practice your soft skills. So the best way to improve a soft skill cannot be just from a book. Like if you have to sit for a GD tomorrow for any of the interview, you will have to give mock GDs, right? Just becomes better. You cannot just prepare in terms of topic. I think that's where, and that is why I would want our esteemed panelists also, maybe because I'm sure Murtuza sir, Nirav sir, and Shabir sir must have taken lot of interviews of freshly chartered accountants or even with experience. So sir, in fact, if you could just before we wind up, if all three of you could just maybe those two or three. I'm sure generally we when we guide interviewers in a session, we'll typically tell that in your 20-30 minutes of interview, starting 5 minutes are enough for the interviewer to gauge
Hmm.
whether they will take you in. So I would want to understand, because the experience that each of you are having is the age of all the participants. The average age of all the participants is 20 to 23, and all of you have got 25 years of plus experience. What are those things that we generally say, I will say that, but it is you who know. What are those 5 minutes में आप ऐसा क्या देख लेते हो where you've taken made your mind whether you want to take him in or take and I'm sure a lot of these participants will give interviews in Protivity, Eisenamper, or BBS, BSSR, or KPMG, or other big fours also. Sir, all three of you, if you could just give that, it will be helpful to each participants here. Starting with Murtua, sir.
Let us start with Nero Bhai.
Okay.
Let me
In
go
fact,
last.
Eisner Amper is one of the a company in the campus placement. So I'm sure generally ऐसे बोलते हैं कि starting participant में बना लेते हैं mind. Sir, please, if you can guide the participants.
No, no, certainly. Why not? I think the most important thing, as you rightly first mentioned, is relating to the communication. I think relating to that, what and each candidate needs to have a very structured and impactful communication, because what the interviewers usually look for is clarity, confidence, and how you are able to simplify the things, because that is something which is very, very key as to how you come across to the interviewer. Over and above that, the business oriented thinking, I think that is also equally what you can say important. At times what we are seeing that being a chartered accountants, we basically just talk about what you can say numbers, but how we are able to add business strategy or financial insights onto the business strategy, I think that also is also a very key thing. So few examples of that, for example, if you are able to help reduce any cost, improve margins, how your decisions were supportive in terms of making certain things in terms of the organization better. Again, this would be not that much impact required because you are just coming out of the articleship. But even if you have done something to that extent, and if you are able to portray that, I think that would be really, really helpful. Over and about that, how curious you are, because at times we have seen when we ask candidates as to what do you know about the organization, what do you would like to have any additional questions, what we remain is the candidates usually remain silent. So that shows that they have not gone into a background, not checked as to what the organization does. And you should have some questions for the interviewer, because that
Hmm.
basically shows that you are having interest in the organization. It's not like that you got a call, you just walked in, and basically it is more of a what you can say walk in the park than basically showing that you are really, really curious and really what you can say serious for that job. And few other things what they also look at as to the way how you present is how best you are in their cultural fit, because each organization has their own culture, and the candidate which they want to bring in would be someone who is a perfect fit or near to that, because again those are freshers, not everyone would be a perfect fit. Over a period of time we will be able to basically make them or mold them in a way that they basically adapt to our culture. But then if it's a north and south in terms of what our thought process is and what candidates thought process is from a cultural perspective, I think that is something which is going to be very, very difficult. And last but not the least, as such, the few last thing which they also need to do is, with a lot of us, we are very good in number crunching, but how we are able to present that, I think an important thing is our PPT presentation skills and everything, because that is something becoming very, very key in all types of businesses, where what type of role whatever you might get into. Because tomorrow if your boss tells you to basically present something and you said that this is the first PPT I am basically preparing, then that will not work out. So our polishing on our PPT presentation, I think that would be an added bonus. So I think those are the few points which usually we look into it, and that's what I wanted to share.
Uh,
Yes, perfect, perfect, Neeraj sir. Over to you, Murtaza sir, for your remarks.
So, see, in my organization, I think the first filter when we look at the CV, does the person have has done any internal or risk management work during the course of the articleship?
Mm-hmm.
If yes, it immediately goes ahead. If no, then like you stop there. Now, it will all depend. If I got only one vacancy to fill and I can get a person with the GRC experience, I'll hire that. But if I got 20 vacancy to fill and I know that I'll not get 20 people with internal experience, then I'll say some without experience is also okay, we'll teach them.
Hmm. Hmm.
तो सेकंड फिल्टर इमीडिएटली इज कि क्या काम किया है, कौन सा बैंकिंग वाले पार्टनर को बेचूं, रियल एस्टेट कंस्ट्रक्शन को भेजूं, फार्मा हेल्थ केयर को भेजूं या टेक्नोलॉजी मीडिया टेलीकॉम को भेजूं, कौन से पार्टनर को भेजूं इंटरव्यू के लिए.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
that CV has to speak that much. Even if
Oh,
it is
wow.
not internal audit, I'm sure you would have done something in a small CA firm. लेकिन CA firm में ट्रांसपोर्ट लॉजिस्टिक क्लाइंट किया, क्या किया, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग किया, क्या किया, सीवी में वो रहेगा तो वो बंदे के पास जाएगा. अब
Hmm.
now the moment the CV goes to like say someone who is on real estate construction infrastructure, he sees that the guy has worked on like some real estate audit, तो वो उसको real estate के questions पूछेगा. And he will expect that the person at least talks about the WIP, about the RERA, about the GST, about the this, about the that. Agar
Hmm.
if he talks about that, he does not know Internoid, he is a straight selection because he's got that industry knowledge at least. Now the person does not even have industry knowledge and he does not have Internoid knowledge. Then what will is important? Like Nero said, of course, communication, written, oral is given. वो तो चाहिए ही चाहिए. टेक्नोलॉजी वापस प्रेजेंटेशन स्किल चाहिए ही चाहिए. लेकिन उसके अलावा लास्ट में अच्छा क्या किया है तूने आर्टिकलशिप में, तो बोलता है सर मैंने TDS रिटर्न फाइल किया, मैंने 50 टैक्स ऑडिट किया है. देन द इंटरव्यूअर विल गेट इनटू द टैक्स ऑडिट कि चल बता 43B क्या है. वो भी नहीं
Hmm.
आता है बोलने को. 269 SS क्या है, 269T क्या है, लोन टेकन
Yeah.
लोन गिवन में क्या करने का बता, वो भी नहीं आता है. अगर कुछ
Hmm.
भी नहीं आता है तो ये बंदा कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा लाइफ में. लेकिन अगर वो सब्जेक्ट जो उसने काम किया वो अच्छे से आता है, मतलब ये बंदे को जो भी दूंगा ये सीखेगा.
Hmm.
So you tell me what you know. Ultimately, you don't fit. You don't have industry knowledge. You don't have internet knowledge. Now you tell me what have you done, and I'll get into that. And once I get
Oh.
into that, and if he can answer, then I'll see his confidence. I'll see his hunger. Ultimately, देखो, I'll tell you my experience last campus after the last round. We had a walk-in in our office. Generally, we have walk-in. We don't go to the campus. We do walk-in in our office. Bombay office walk-in. 110 people we interviewed in a day.
Oh.
8 people were clearly selected. First round, the manager does, then the director does, then the partner does. 8 people were clearly selected. We wanted to hire 20. वी थॉट के लाइक आज उतना क्वालिटी नहीं मिल रहा है, तो भी हमने हाँ नहीं करके दूसरा 12 लोग को ऑफर दिया. और वो 12 कौन थे कि भाई ये बंदे में दम है सर, ये लड़की कर लेगी, ये लड़का कर लेगा सर, इसको इंटरनेट नहीं आता लेकिन ये कर लेगा. तो दम
Hmm.
में करके हमने और 12 को ऑफर दिया, वैसे करके 20 को हमने ऑफर दिया. 20 में से 2-3 जन 2 दिन बाद बैकआउट हो गए, 2-3 जन बाद में 10 दिन में बैकआउट हो गए दूसरा ऑफर लेके, ज्वाइनिंग के दिन में 3-4 बैकआउट हो गए, आखिर में पूरे दिन की मेहनत के सामने ज्वाइन किए 6 लोगों ने खाली. तो यू सी द पेन ऑन आवर साइड. 10 managers interviewing 110 people, doing a group discussion, written test. Okay, 6-7 directors sitting, 2-3 partners sitting whole Saturday morning to evening. सुबह 9:30 बजे से लेकर रात को 8 बजे तक. और उसके बाद 110 लोगों को मिलकर 6 जन को हायर किया हमने. So the guys must be feeling कि अरे ये वो, but when you back out, when you take the offer and when you back out on the date of joining, the pain with the organization goes, you cannot understand कितना client commitment है, कितना problem होता है. कितनी बार तो हम लोग वो CV को एडवांस में भेज देते हैं आपका, क्लाइंट को बोलते हैं ये बंदा ज्वाइन कर रहा है, ये CV है, और बाद में तुमने नहीं ज्वाइन किया तो हमारी वाट लग गई. तो आई एम सेइंग सी अल्टीमेटली दैट कॉन्फिडेंस दैट दिस गाय विल ज्वाइन, द हंगर दैट द गाय शोज कि ये सीख लेगा और कर लेगा. एंड आई थिंक वी ऑल्सो सी वन मोर थिंग नाउ कि like is this guy really from an humble background. Okay, people who are from humble background, people who have done that upbringing is right, they stick to their commitment. The integrity I think also is becoming very very important, which you're trying to evaluate during the course of the interview. Let
Wow.
me stop here.
Yeah, just to add on humble ground, I think we just to add on that, we just say that whether that person is really in need, because nowadays there are a lot of people
Hmm.
who are coming into in where they don't need it, and we are not against those type of people, but then you will not be able to see the same type of a hunger from
Hmm.
person coming in
Hmm.
from that type of a background as compared to someone who has come from an
Hmm.
humble one, who is up coming up and who really needs the job, and that person will go the extra mile, and you will
Hmm.
see that difference. And over a period of 3 to 5 years, they will be all together at a different point. If you give them the right, what you can say, start at any point of time, and then they will shine out at the end. So that is something which is rightly said by Murtuza sir. So
What a great uh,
Yeah.
what a great answer, sir. That humble background wala cheese, and then you told that you are going to probably capitalize on it was something an eye opener. Quick remarks from Shabdesh sir, and probably will mark it to the end.
Yeah. So I think see the first thing that we would like to see in a candidate is how honest is the candidate. Because many times people write so many things in the CV which they may not have done. So we would not like to, see flowery CV. We would like to see the CV which shows the real experience. Second, I think there are different levels of interview, and each interview has a different purpose. So when there is an HR interview, the purpose is very different. When there is a manager interview, the purpose is very different. When there is a partner interview, the purpose is very different. So I think first, when you go in for an interview, you need to understand who is the interviewer and what is the purpose of the interview. You cannot talk technical in an HR interview and vice versa. You cannot talk soft skill in a manager's interview. So I think fundamentally we all want to hire people who are more smarter than us. That's my bottom line. We would rather take people who don't depend on us to do things, but we tell them and they execute. That's how it ought to be. And second, I think we like people who acknowledge what they don't know and are willing to go to that mile to what they don't know. So I like people who say, no, I have never done international tax, but I know I have to do this DTA course of the institute. I have to read these 5 books. It'll take me 6 months, and I've started working on it, and I've already read this one book, and 5 books are pending. That's a very honest answer.
Nice.
And the third I would like to see is how much committed he is to this job. Will he leave this job if he gets another 50,000 more or some other job somewhere else? If that's the attitude, then the candidate will not be selected. So I think what we are requesting, and as Murtuza explained, more than you, we want good people to come to our organization. It's not the other way around. It's a two-way traffic. As you need a job, we also need people.
Wow.
And we want good people to come in. So you don't think that we are rejecting you because we don't want you. We are rejecting you because you're not fitting in.
Correct.
And we are
Mm.
doing everything to fit you. If you want to understand the expectations of the interview, call up the HR people, understand what are the questions that will be asked in this interview. What should I prepare? What should I
Mm.
read and come? Nobody's
Mm.
stopping you. How many of the guts to do that? And be honest. If you don't know, acknowledge. You don't know. That's fine. Everybody doesn't know everything. Even after 25, 30 years, I don't think myself or Murtu Sabai can profess that we know everything in tax or in audit. There's so many still every day we learn. And it's going to be that way. Our journey is going to be of continuous education. Therefore, we have the CPE program. And so is of every professional, whether he's a doctor, lawyer, engineer. Things are going to change every day. Every day one will have to learn. So
Wow.
the fundamental question is, are you honest? Do you know
Mm.
what you don't know? Are you willing to go to that extra mile to learn? And are you committed? If you show these 4 traits, you will never fail an interview.
Wow, wow, wow! What an excellent point, Hriday sir. I think we didn't know these points. Actually, we are listening to an interview's perspective from the very first. I mean, for the very first time, कि भाई इन लोगों को क्या, what they all want. I think excellent explanation. And probably one thing that I would want to add is this profession, that is this degree, opens door to multiple exciting paths, whether it's internal audit, international tax, consulting, or something entirely different. What matters most now is self awareness. Understand what excites you, what energizes you, and what aligns with your value. Wishing you all great clarity, courage, and career success in the days to come. Thank you. All the very best. And last but not the least, I would like to thank Murtaja sir, Nirav sir, Shabbir sir for sparing their Saturday weekend morning with us, and walking an extra mile to guide this young champs, this young professionals like us. I think आपका experience, ये जो आपने आके 1 घंटे का दे दिया ना, ये शायद किसी का करियर सेट कर देगा। ये मैं मानता हूँ। अगर भले ही मुझे ये ना पता चला हो आज कि यार मुझे इंटरनल में जाना है, इंटरनेशनल में जाना है, या फिर कंसल्टिंग में जाना है, मुझे ये शायद पता चल गया कि मुझे इन तीनों में शायद इसमें नहीं जाना, बिकॉज आई डजंट फिट इन। तो आई थिंक वो भी क्लैरिटी होना ऐसे सेशंस इज वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट। थैंक यू फ्रॉम माय एंड, थैंक यू रुद्रेश सर। ओवर टू यू सर।
I think so. The last question was exactly the topic name where we kept from audit to authority, the rise of financial leaders. Me being a trainer, I've always guided students, अच्छा नहीं आपको, क्या करना है, it is, these are the type of the interviews that you, but when it came from you who have, I think, seen people live, when Murtuza sir says, कि भाई हमने पूरा दिन बिताया, 100 इंटरव्यूज लिए, उसमें से
Hmm.
5 सिलेक्ट हुए, when you say about you being humble, you have to have that hunger learning attitude. So just yesterday, let me quickly share. A CA fresher, calls me up that he's having a partner round in, one of the top 10 firms. And, I was like, okay, great, keep. After the interview, he comes me and says, sir, मुझे ज़्यादा कुछ पूछा ही नहीं. I said, but naturally, at the partner round, you are going to be checked whether you are culturally fit. And, मुझे लगता था, अच्छा
Hmm.
ठीक है, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, lot of students may not believe because I have not worked in a big four. I have
Hmm.
not worked in a top company, or I have not. But when it came from Murtua sir, Neerav sir, and Shabir sir, I'm so glad. And, these participants who have been there. And when Neerav sir said about, when you have to have a good presentation skills, because when you join, let's say Chandan who's working with BNP and his manager or, VP director comes and says, कि इस पे एक presentation बना दो. But if you
Hmm.
do not know, if you're not good with presentations, I think during, I remember Murtuza sir's term in the WRC as a chairman, the number of AI related, technology related, it could, robot related, robotic terms related, we've had sessions so that,
Hmm.
newly chartered or maybe experienced chartered could gain knowledge because AI was increasing. That has been there. As Shabir sir rightly said, we need to understand the purpose of every interview, whether it's HR or partner or manager. तो मैं उस हिसाब से पढ़ के जाऊँ and don't mix it, and be exactly correct. I think that was like, much larger than cherry on the cake. Once again, let me thank. So I think just to last, thanks for this session, Murtuza sir, Neerav sir, and Shabir sir. Whenever it has to be a CFO, MD, the top leaders talk. I know all I have to just call up Murtuza Kachwala sir, and my that session is set. That's what I did. The moment in this session also we were planning कि sir एक CFO round, kind of, so that we understand from CFOs, CXOs perspective कि वो क्या देखते हैं इंटरव्यू में. भले किसी को ऑडिट में जाना है, टैक्स में जाना है, फिनांस आउटसोर्सिंग में जाना है, बट उस लेवल तक कैसे पहुंचे, आज का फ्रेशर. बिकॉज टुडेज फ्रेशर, एज सर ऑल्सो राइटली सेड, फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन कि भाई 11 लाख मिल रहा है वर्सेस 7 लाख मिल रहा है, आई शुड नॉट रन एट 11 लाख, but my own core skills. So thank you, Murtua sir. It has always been great not just to work with you but work under you and learn. So if I can, have an SOP today for each and everything, the major credit goes to Murtuza sir, in the first year when he was a chairman and I was being a regional council member. So I know कि भाई हर चीज के लिए एक क्विक छोटा एसओपी रहता है, क्यू कार्ड रहता है, तो it works always in favor. I'm sure Neerav sir, your guidance is going to help during the campus also at Eisner Ampere and for other interviews as well. Shabir sir, I'm sure whether somebody gets into taxation, audit, or any field, when somebody is going to give in a big four CA firms interview, they're going to keep this in mind at partner round or manager round. Once again, thank you all three panelists. Sir, tomorrow we have planned sessions in terms of core finance, banking, M&A, private equity, venture financing, and all of those topics from 11 to 1. And thank you, Chandan Bhai, for excellently moderating this session. And thank you so much once again to all the panelists. And thank you so much. So, participants, you can connect to Murtua sir, Neerav sir, Shabir sir on LinkedIn, definitely, and let us know any more doubts.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Best of luck to
Best of
everybody.
luck
Thank
to
you.
everyone.
Thank you, Muthu. Thank you, Nirav.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
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 Bye bye. Bye.
Please or two vice 2254 plus 9.9.
Thanks a lot,
2254
sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, CA Arshit and CA Chandan, for the
Thank you,
excellent
Rudesh sir, for the
moderation
wonderful session.
for
9.4
first and
plus
second session. Guys, we meet back tomorrow, 11 o'clock sharp, with some amazing topic. And there are chartered accountants, there are IIM Bangalore, ISB Hyderabad panelists, and there are people who are coming from abroad. Online
Yes,
is
please
somebody
continue.
who's from Singapore, who's working since the last 10 years in Singapore. So make sure to be there. And thank you once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
2286.